Maria Stuart, born in 1803, shared the same faith in God that Bradstreet and Wheatley enjoyed. However, she was very much upfront about confronting the hypocritical behaviors of those who claimed to share the faith she loved. Although she was a black American, while slavery was still around, she was not forced into servitude, as Phyllis Wheatley was. Maria had to take work as a maid. However, she received pay and taught herself to read and write as she worked. Instead of merely focusing on making money, Maria realized that her situation in life would be improved if she taught herself to read, and she grabbed any opportunities she could to learn what she needed. Maria married James W. Stewart in 1826, but sadly he died 3 years later, and Maria found herself poor and a widow. Once again, Stewart showed that it would take more than a bad situation to beat her. After her husband died, Stewart became interested in religion and changing problems in society by writing and lecturing in her free time. Maria Stuart used her faith not only as a source of strength, but as an argument in her writings for giving freedom to the slaves. In her speech, an address delivered before the African-American Female Intelligence Society of Boston, Stuart declared that I am a strong advocate for the cause of God and for the cause of freedom. Stuart believed that both of these causes are intertwined, and that you cannot be a supporter of one without also supporting the other. She was not shy about leveling accusations of hypocrisy and negligence against those who professed her faith but also supported or did not attack slavery outright. She complains, in her speech, that had the ministers of the gospel shunned the very appearance of evil, had they faithfully discharged their duty, whether we would have heard them or not, we should have been a very different people from what we now are. But they have kept the truth, as it were, hid from our eyes, and cried, "Peace, peace," when there was no peace. Stuart's faith was so important in her life that she was not willing to see anyone malign it with cowardly actions that went against all she believed in. Her faith gave her courage and a motive to speak out against an evil in the world, and through her writings and speeches she exposed those who needed to be exposed, and defended and confirmed her faith. So we have reached the end of our studies on the effect that faith in God has on the writings of these three very influential women. It is clear that faith influences them greatly in their writings, though each of them uses their faith in different ways. Anne Bradstreet was influenced by her faith in ways that gave her courage to stand up for herself and her gender, and to withstand the tragedies that happened in her life. She was not often very confrontational in her works, and preferred to write poetry that extolled the beauty of God's creation or as gifts to her and her family. Phyllis Wheatley's style is similar to Anne Bradstreet's in some ways. She prefers to look at the bright side of life and focuses on the positive attitudes that she has through her faith, rather than the tragedy that surrounds her life. However, she also subtly challenges the status quo in the world around her, reminding everyone that race is not important. What is important for any person of faith is whether you will be allowed to join the angelic train, as she says, and be accepted into heaven. She rightly points out that race should mean nothing to the Christian who follows the tenets of the faith. However, she also does not directly confront the problem of slavery, preferring to influence people's thoughts about different races, instead of attacking their positions directly. Maria Stuart throws off the subtlety of Bradstreet and Wheatley and uses her faith to confront the ills of society head-on. She refuses to accept the cries of "peace, peace," where slavery is concerned, and attacks the position of the people around her who claim to be of the same faith, yet condone or ignore slavery. She relies heavily on her faith to sustain her and give her courage, saying that with the help of God I am resolved to withstand the fiery darts of the devil and the assault of wicked men. Her faith is a shield as well as a comfort to her, and her devotion to it is clear in her writings, which are full of scriptural references. Maria Stuart differs from Bradstreet and Wheatley in the way she heads-on confronts the evil around her, but I believe they would all have agreed on how important faith in God was in their lives and in their writings. Hopefully this presentation has helped you think about the early American woman writers in a new light. Even though women in all of their time periods were not encouraged to write, these three women not only wrote, but wrote seeking to change the minds and hearts of everyone around them. Each of them shows in their writing that the overwhelming influence in their lives is their faith in God, which gives them comfort for today, peace with the past, and courage for the future. Perhaps the world today would be a little bit different and a lot better if women today followed the example of these three amazing women.